It's our Big Ten basketball preview, a bonus episode of Michigan Podcast. Next.
But there's going to be one team that's going to play solely as a team. No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. The team, the team, the team.
Looks deep for Anthony Carter. Waits for it. Hit. Caught.
This is no time for that. In the pocket and a sack. Tim Jamison. Brady gets terrific.
Present and a touchdown night again. Schultz just before Brazil got him. And a leaping interception by Woodson.
Harbaugh back to throw over the middle. Caught by Contender at the 5 on his feet. Touchdown, Michigan. On its way. It's good.
He's 5'7", 179 pounds, a junior at Michigan. But Jamie Morris packs a wallop, and he delivers for Bo Schembechler.
And here's your first play. Pressure coming. Sack. It is Glenn Steele, number 81, who fought his way through the traffic.
Option. And Robinson calls his own number, and he's going to score. Oh, an easy touchdown for Robinson and Michigan.
Win it. We're going to win the championship again because we're going to play as a team. And when we play as a team and the old season is over, you and I know it's going to be Michigan again. Michigan.
Go Blue, I'm Steve Deace, and we just missed you. We were gone for so long that we decided, in honor of Michigan tipping off the full brunt of the Big Ten basketball gauntlet tonight against Penn State, that we would launch our Big Ten basketball preview. We did a deep dive on all 14 teams, took a look at what they have done so far and who they've done it against. And then we're going to use that data to project how they might end up when it's all said and done about 2 months from now in an absolutely loaded Big Ten. So without further ado, let's rank the teams in the league based on the order that we think they will finish. And let's start at the bottom with who else but Rutgers. And there you can see Rutgers' top 3 non-conference wins. They have no non-conference wins in the top 100 of the RPI. They are ranked 126 in net. Now, the net is the new NCAA ranking metric that really is the one ranking to rule them all. That's going to be the most important ranking of them all. And then you take a look at where they are at in KenPom. So the net ranking takes a look at your total resume. The KenPom is sort of an analytic of how good you are. You're 224th in offensive efficiency out of about 350 college basketball teams. Is that bad? Well, it's not good. And it's one of the main reasons why when you're playing in maybe the best defensive conference in the country and you're 224th in offensive efficiency before you even get into the meat of conference play, I just don't see Rutgers scoring enough points to be competitive. So I have the Scarlet Knights with the new 20-game Big Ten schedule finishing dead last at 3-17, which brings us to 13th, Illinois. Hey, didn't you used to be good? Man, the Flying Illini, D. Brown, it seems like forever ago, Illinois had that epic national championship game loss to North Carolina. This is like the 27th year in a row that their roster has been in transition. And you look at what they did in the non-conference, another Big Ten team. When your best conference win or non-conference win is East Tennessee State, and again, they're 113th, 142nd in offense, 94th in defense. That's why I think Illinois, maybe one of these years, they'll actually have a full roster of players. It's been a while. I think the Illini finish 4-16, one game better than Rutgers, and in 13th place. In 12th place, I have the team Michigan opens up tonight against Penn State. Now, they've got a really good non-conference win against Virginia Tech at home in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. They're 77th in the net rankings. They're a really good defensive club. But again, here's the problem. 113th in offense. And they're second to last in the Big Ten in scoring margin, field goal shooting, field goal percentage defense, and rebounding margin. They kind of missed their window last year. That was their year, I think, to be a tournament team. I have the Nittany Lions finishing at 5-15 in Big Ten conference play in 12th place. In 11th place, Northwestern. And, I love Vic Law. I love Derek Pardon. We saw Northwestern about a month ago. We had those early 2 Big Ten games. Those guys ball out every night. There's just too much youth after them. Too much youth, too much transition. And, they're really playing without a point guard. That's pretty tough sledding when you're about to play 18 consecutive games against the best defensive conference in America. And you saw that last night when they got absolutely depanted by Michigan State. So Northwestern, 2 years after winning an NCAA tournament game and looking like the new hotness, I have the Wildcats finishing only 7-13 in the Big Ten Conference. In 10th place is a tough team to figure out, Minnesota. So here's the thing with Minnesota. They've got 5 Power 5 conference wins. That's good. But the problem is all 5 of those are teams that are kind of having so-so years. And you see that when you look at their non-conference victories. That win against Washington, who's 20th in the RPI. That's really good. But Oklahoma State, not having a vintage season for them. A&M, who Michigan played in the Sweet 16 last year, they're 158th in the RPI. So there are some things to like. I mean, Jordan Murphy is a dude. He's averaging a double-double every night. But if you look at the backcourt there, the Gophers are last in the conference in three-pointers made. They're 12th in the league in turnover margin. They're last in steals. So until they get some help beyond Amir Coffey for Jordan Murphy, I think Minnesota is going to languish in the second division of the conference. In 9th place, or actually in a tie for 8th place, I have Purdue. Now, Purdue's best non-conference win is Belmont, but don't laugh. Belmont's 25th in the RPI. Davidson and Ohio, all 3 of those teams, not Power 5 teams, but their strength of schedule is pretty spectacular. That's why they're still pretty high in the NCAA's net rankings. And they're a Ken Palm darling, mainly because they have a top 10 offense. And the reason they have a top 10 offense is Carson Edwards. I mean, he's one of the best players in all of college basketball. But on pace, this is on pace, I should say, to be the worst defensive team Matt Painter has had there in West Lafayette in 5 years. And not coincidentally, that's the last time that he had a losing season there in West Lafayette. I'm going to pick Purdue, though, to get to 500 in the league. And given the fact that a lot of those are going to be against games or games against teams that rank pretty high in the net rankings, I'm going to say Purdue is the 9th Big Ten team to get an NCAA tournament bid come March. Tying them for 8th is Maryland. Not really a great non-conference when Radford and Marshall are your best non-conference wins, but they're still 42nd in the net rankings, 31 in Ken Palm, top 50 offense and defense. Got a big win last night against Nebraska. Anthony Cowan, one of the best point guards in this conference. Bruno Fernando is a dude, man. He's just a grown man. He's averaging nearly a double-double while leading the conference in blocks. So those are 2 pretty good cornerstones to start with. Now they need to develop that third scorer. Prized freshman Jalen Smith is really coming on, hit the big game-winning shot last night against Nebraska. So I think the Terps have enough to return to the NCAA tournament after last year's hiatus. Speaking of returning to the NCAA tournament, I think Iowa will do that this year as well. I've got them 7th in the league. Iowa State, that win's going to look better. Iowa State's getting more of its players back, and they're a top 50 RPI win now. They'll be a top 25, 30 RPI win, I think, when it's all said and done. Iowa at 36th in the net rankings. Now, you look at their defense, 103rd. That's not good in this conference. But, guys, last year their defense was 242nd, meaning they didn't guard you or me. They weren't guarding anybody. So the fact that they've gone from embrace the suck to less than functional is a huge upgrade because they're still a top 20 offense. So as long as they just don't completely regress defensively and stay where they're at right now, they will eke out with their offensive firepower. That's pretty impressive. They will eke out enough points and therefore enough wins to get back to the NCAA tournament under Fran McCaffrey. We go to 6th place in Indiana. So to me, Indiana, they got an improved team defense now. They're 20th in Ken Palm in the defensive rankings. Romeo Langford, freshman phenom, future first-round draft pick, Juwan Morgan. That's a dynamic duo right there. My question is, though, and I don't get them back to national relevance, back to the NCAA tournament, but I think you've got to have a third scorer on the floor in this league with the way these teams play defense. So I'm going to say Indiana, middle of the pack team, kind of a 12-8 kind of team in the Big Ten. The kind of team that I could see going to Michigan on Sunday and winning, because those two guys get hot, and then losing like at home to, they almost lost at home to Northwestern, and losing at home to Minnesota, because if you don't have that third scorer, and those top two guys, Morgan and Langford, are dynamic. So on any given night, they'll be hot, unstoppable, they get a big win. But over the course of the long slog of this 18-game conference gauntlet, if they don't develop that third scorer, there's just too much good defense being played in this league right now. We continue our look at Big Ten basketball. We're going to jump all the way to third place because we think there's going to be a three-way tie for third. Let's start with the Badgers of Wisconsin. They've already beaten number 2 in the RPI, Oklahoma. They won at Xavier, beat NC State. That's going to be another non-conference win, similar to Iowa's win over Iowa State. When it's all said and done, that will be a far more impressive-looking non-conference win than it is right now. NC State's, I think, going to finish. They're off to a great start, and I think they're going to finish well in the ACC too. So Wisconsin, number 13 in the net rankings, 14th in Ken Palm, top 20 offense and defense. That's your typical solid Wisconsin basketball team. And if you look at what they have this year, Ethan Happ remains a formidable post presence, but Demetric Trice, it's amazing how much better of a coach Greg Gard is when he's got a full complement of guards. Demetric Trice is back, healthy, shooting an insane 51% from three-point range. They always play defense, but now Wisconsin second in the Big Ten in three-point shooting as well. Tying them for third is Ohio State. And Chris Holtmann, to me, looks like the next, first it was Bo Ryan. Didn't matter what the roster was. They were just there every year. Now it's kind of John Beilein. And next, I think it's Chris Holtmann. They were picked 10th in the preseason last year, nearly won the league. This year, they were left for dead after they lost a lot of those key contributors. And here they are. They're one of the few teams in college basketball that has not one, but 2 top 40 RPI road wins in the non-conference. And they only have one scorer. Caleb Wesson is the only scorer on the Ohio State team that is in the top 25 scores in the Big Ten. So Chris Holtmann, he just finds a way to get her done. Guy's a really good basketball coach. Now, Nebraska. I took some heat. Some Michigan Twitter gave me some shade for picking Nebraska so high in my preseason preview, but here they are in the top 25. I know they lost at the buzzer last night to Maryland, but look at their profile at Nebraska, all right? So we already know James Palmer is one of the best players in the conference, okay? There's a case to be made he might be the best overall player in the conference. But the Huskers are also in the top 5 in the Big Ten in free throw shooting, blocks, field goal percentage, defense, turnover margin, and rebounding margin. So in other words, when you have a certifiable star player like James Palmer, and then the supporting cast is that solid, you're going to win a lot of games. So I think Nebraska gets back to the NCAA tournament as well. I have them tying for third place in the league at 13-7. And yes, when I had their predicted record, I did predict they were going to lose that game at Maryland last night. So that is factored into this prediction. And now to the 2 teams I think will tie for first. Let's go to the Spartans at Michigan State first. And there you see Michigan State with the win against Texas. That's a top 50 RPI non-conference win. In fact, they got 3 top 80 RPI non-conference wins. That's pretty good. That's why they're number 9 in the net rankings. They're number 5 in Ken Palm, 4th in offense, 25th in defense. Here's the thing. Michigan State's the only team in our league. Cassius Winston, the point guard, big man Nick Ward, swing man Joshua Langford. Those are the only trio of teammates in the conference that all rank in the top 20 scorers in the Big Ten. They also lead the league in rebounding margin. That's kind of a thing they do every year under Tom Izzo, though. That's basically his trademark. Here's the thing, though. They better lead the league in rebounding because they've got the worst turnover margin in the Big Ten. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. You've got Cassius Winston at point guard. You rebound the way they do, and you're worst in turnover margin in the league. So that kind of cancels out that rebounding advantage they have. But the 3 scorers they put on the floor, those big 3, I think that's going to win a lot of games for Michigan State over the next couple of months. And I think they will end up tying, yes, our beloved Michigan Wolverines for first place in the Big Ten. Right now, Michigan number 3 in the net rankings, 4 in Ken Palm. Kind of you notice they're the reverse of Michigan State. Michigan State was 4th in Ken Palm in offense and 25th in defense. Michigan's 24th in offense and 4th in defense. They're kind of the inverse of the Spartans. And they got off to that scintillating start where they probably played as good as they could play. They've meandered through the last few weeks of a game a week against a scrub, but they're still the best defensive team in this conference. They still value the basketball and foul as less as anybody in the conference. So when you don't give the basketball away, when you don't give free points at the free throw line, and you're a really good defensive team, I'm not, a great basketball coach, but I think that makes you hard to score against. And then now they can put the 3 scorers on the floor, whether it's Iggy Brastakis, and then you're talking Charles Matthews, Jordan Poole, who is right behind Demetric Trice in three-point shooting in the conference. Isaiah Livers has gotten more active in the last couple of weeks. So they didn't take advantage of this soft schedule the last few weeks to develop more depth, but that 7 or 8 man rotation, all those guys knowing their defined roles, the way they defend on that end of the floor, I think Michigan and Michigan State end up tying for the Big Ten championship at the end of the basketball season. Well, let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter at Michigan Podcast. You can check us out each and every day at WolverineDigest.com. We'll be back again next week with our regular weekly installment of Michigan Podcast. Until then, go Blue.